I want to show you here what we're doing with bringing some of that into SAMIS directly. So a lot of times, within when users sort of experience things, right? We talk about how do we make the experience better for folks. When you're in SAMIS, we always talk about, okay, I want to see the data where I'm at. I don't want to have to go to another place, figure out what kind of filters I want to run on before. So one of the big improvements we did with SAMIS 2.0 was that when you click on, for example, participants, SAMIS had, the previous version had maybe 4 fields that you would have. You couldn't sort by the data. It was just fixed. And, so we added, obviously you saw before, the ability to go into settings and add any of the fields that we have captured in the system. For the folks that are adding custom fields, those are automatically showing up. So those are things that you don't have to, to worry about. Terry, I know you asked about yesterday, I think it was parental identifier, because Palm Beach, is it Palm Beach Community Services? Yeah, would use that field. And so, we added that field. Now it becomes available that you can run reports on. So now the next version of this, grid tool that we have is one now where I can come in and say, you know what, I want to look by region. So here, it's going to automatically pull up, my location. And I might say, you know what, I want to look for participants in a certain area. So I'm just going to draw. Wow. So I'm going to draw this. I'm going to say, okay, I want to find all participants in that region. And I might want to look at, folks that are different ethnicities. So I might say, you know what, let's do ethnicity. I'm not sure if it was ethnicity. I'm trying to remember what the different options were, but you can look in here and see. I might want to also filter it on folks that had, over a certain number of units of service. So if I do, greater or equal to 100, and just do a search, and it's going to bring me back. What's that, Robert? I have my glasses. I forgot my glasses today, so. And I realize I actually need it every day now. So 3,700. So now we're looking at that data, and we've got it, and we can customize the fields. We can download this report, and there is no need for a report anymore in the traditional sense. But not only that, what if I wanted to see, let's say I wanted to see metrics, and I might want to look at that data compared to breakdown by ethnicity, by involvement, household income. If I wanted to, for example, let's say add a new chart, and let's say I wanted to see, maybe I wanted to add this by gender. So I'm going to pick gender, and I'm going to group this over, all of the records. And, I can do a chart here, but maybe I want to do a pie chart on this one. And I'm going to save this. So now I've got, this data is being filtered by what I just searched on before. If I go back now in here, and let's say I take this off, and I'm just going to be looking at folks in that region, I'm just going to go ahead and run that again. And that number is going to increase, and I'm going to see those charts broken down by the new filters that I have in place. Not only can I look at it just by metrics, but if I wanted to look at it on a map, I can look at it here, and it's going to see that drawing that I did, that polygon, and it's going to show me all of the participants in that region. So now you can look at, by geography, by units of service, by performance measures, anything else, and be able to visualize that data in so many different ways. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll show you an example of that. So we have data, you can view it geographically, you can see it by different charts. If you wanted to see by calendar, right, and every date field that we have within whatever information you're looking at, here it is, I'm looking at just, the date of birth, and it's showing me, when those individual participants were born. And maybe I don't want to look at it by date of birth, maybe I want to look at it by open date or closed date or whatever it is that I want to look at. So you can see that information going back, as far back as you need to. Um, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So Mario, I noticed you have the charts there. Those are the ones that you designed. What if you want to add some more charts types to
Um,
this?
yeah, I think what do we have here? We have bar pie, multi-level pie, donut chart line, spline, area, funnel, pyramid, tree map. So, um, just let me know if there's one. I think we're adding bubble and a few others
Because
now.
we have from Evergreen.
Yeah, but a new consultant,
Right.
data visualization
Right.
consultant.
Mm.
And she's
Yeah.
giving us some ideas on the type of charts or graph that we could use.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Mario, I could probably link to one of these charts from the WordPress website. Is that possible?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. So, this is like a pivot table. So, for example, if I wanted to see, maybe by gender, and I can see by city, and do we have closing reason in here? Maybe you want to see by city and ethnicity. And so whatever fields you bring back in from that first grid, you can just go ahead and do this. And so now I'm looking at, here it is by city and by ethnicity, gender, male and female, and then the total number of units that they have. If I wanted to, and I see, well, let's maybe see the average. Do I have average in here? Or the max number of units? I can go ahead and run, the pivot table. I can add other things as well on here.
Possibilities are unlimited. Now you make it look really easy. So is there some type of training that we could send people to that they would learn how to use these tools?
We can record videos for you. So that's probably the best way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That's a new
That are small. Obviously, would we need to show the class first before we even got to that level?
I don't think so. It's just, you've seen what I'm doing here. There's nothing complex, click around. It's gonna,
So if a training video would be enough to help us.
Yeah, I think so. Because this tool here, we found like, when we first built this grid and put it out there, we started looking and looking at the logs, and what folks were doing was like, oh wow, they're already doing grouping and aggregation of the data and everything else with it. But I think what we can do is we'll create some videos, put them in the support module, and then wait to see what kind of feedback we get. I don't anticipate a lot of folks will be creating pivot tables, unless they already know about pivot tables and they were doing that in Excel, would then want to do it from here. But I would imagine most folks are just going to stick with the grid and the metrics part to be able to run those reports.
I think the key thing we've recognized is the people who are coming in here need to be curious. Like, you have to want to get to something.
Yeah.
And not just be satisfied with what you're seeing. So you have to be curious when you get in there.
Yeah.
You have to ask those what if questions.
You have to be willing to explore.
Is there any way to be able to use these same mechanisms for data comparisons?
Like
Our outcomes? So would we be able to filter by those that met their outcome versus those that didn't, by geography or by gender, by age, by program type, by geography?
Yeah, so the two things we were kind of playing around with is under the participants tab is adding two things. For example, maybe units of service. And this will show, every unit of service ever recorded, but then also bring in some of the participant data. Here I'm just bringing in gender, and you can see the program name. But being able to do all of those things now at the unit of service level. So for example, I might want to add a filter, and in here I'm looking for, a specific activity. And maybe I can look at, okay, if you had more than X number of units or within this date range, to chart that on a map, or add other types of charts to it. So that's for unit of service, and then also performance measures as well. Being able to go back through and see everything that we've captured, within on the PM side. Being able to see all of the the different answers here. Be able to sort it by program, by provider, by the objective, and everything else. On the PM side, the part you mentioned about met, not met, that's the part where sort of we're exploring right now, is maybe we can run on a daily basis, go through all of the PMs, and for any records that have been added within the past 24 hours, go through and run that check to see if they've met or not met that objective. The problem is, there's so many things by date ranges, because, someone could not met it, maybe like January 1st, but today they met it because they took the test maybe between January 1st and February 1st. So we're still trying to figure out what the best way is to accomplish that in a consistent way.